Today we are talking about newborn sales. So I've had quite a long journey with my newborn photography. I started out in 2011 back here in the UK. It wasn't that popular back then. And the main reason why I started newborn photography is I wanted to work from Monday to Friday, still be a portrait photographer, but have weekends with my kids. So for anybody who's interested, as a guy photographer, that's why I got into newborn photography, to sort of get this nicer work-life balance. I worked really hard for the first 5-6 years. I was sort of following the main routine with newborn photographers or portrait photographers, where I got caught up in the digital world. I figured it was much easier to sell digital products or digital collections, not worry about the production issues with prints and all the rest. And I was doing really well up until about 2016. Getting to the end of 2016, I was working so hard. I was doing about 60-hour weeks. I was busy, trying to keep up with editing, not spending enough time with my kids, not spending quality time with my wife. And still actually not getting to a point where I was achieving the financial goals that I wanted to with my photography. One day I was in the studio, I was feeling rather tired, and the gentleman that just introduced me happened to be visiting another photographer who I shared an office with. And he looked at me and said, "God, Russ, you look like death warmed up. What's going on?" You know, black rings under my eyes. I was like, "Jeremy, just so busy, but still just chasing my tail all the time. You know, I'm getting a lot of photographers. I'm getting a lot of clients, but it just feels like I'm I'm on the hamster wheel, and I'm not achieving the goals. Plus, on a personal side, it's all work and no quality time with my family." Jeremy didn't even ask me how much I was charging. He said 3 words, and I'll never forget them. He said, "Double your prices." And I was like, "Yeah, you know, Jeremy, whatever." Went home, spoke to the missus. She said, "Oh, how did it go?" I said, "Oh, Jeremy was there." He said, "Oh, what did he have to say?" I said, "Oh, he said double the prices." Now, at the time, I was probably averaging around about £600 to £700 average sale, which is not bad when you're selling digital-only products. But the idea in my head that I could double my prices to £1,400, £1,500 and not lose all of the clients that I'd made, or lose the business that I'd grown over that period of time, was very, very daunting. However, my wife had a very different take on it. She realized that if I doubled my prices, I didn't have to work as hard and still make the same amount of money. So essentially, I could work half the time, spend more time with them as a family. So she insisted on it. She basically gave me the ultimatum: we're going to double the prices, or, who knows. So that's what we had to do. Now, at the same time, we had registered with Sue Bryce Education. If anybody knows Sue Bryce, incredible resource. She's an incredible photographer, but she's really, really on top of the business side of running a photography business. And she was, at the time, with Sue Bryce Education, there's many different aspects within the site that you can learn on. And my weakness has always been sales. So I went onto the sales section of her education channel, and there was a lesson on the reveal wall. So the reveal wall is basically a way of doing sales where we're not selling digital products, we're actually selling the end product. In other words, we are selling the prints. And we are, sorry, I'm just going to close this. We're basically printing, we're photographing, we're editing, we're printing, we're mounting, and we're selling the final product on a wall. So let me just skip a few slides here. That's an example. It's just a quick snapshot I did on my phone of a reveal wall. So when your clients come back, and with newborns, I always try and get my clients roughly a week to 10 days back after the session. They're not looking at a screen. I'm not trying to sell them digital images. I'm selling them the final product. And the whole beauty of that is when a client holds something and can touch it, she can smell it, and she has it in her hands, it's very difficult for her to say no, right? It's a bit like us when we come here to the photography show and we pick up that nice lens that we've been dreaming of. It's much more difficult to put it down once you've actually held it or tested it. So that's sort of the psychology behind the reveal wall. And then I sort of put two and two together. I said, Jeremy wants me to double my prices, or my wife wants me to double my prices. I can't sell in my mind, I couldn't sell a USB stick with digital only images on for £1,500. I couldn't see how I could make that jump, because no matter how good your service is or how beautiful the pictures are, when somebody gives you their credit card and you take £1,500 and then just give them a little piece of plastic, piece of metal, I think it's harder for them to justify that spend. And for me, with my photography, with my with everything, it's very service oriented. I want my clients to leave feeling completely fulfilled with the service they've had with the photography, and that they felt that it's good value for money. So I realized if I went down this route of doing reveal wall, this is going to drive me crazy. Let's see if we can get that off. With reveal wall, I can add that value and still double the prices, and not work as hard, work half as hard. So we made a few adjustments. Obviously, we felt that we needed to improve the brand. We upgraded the website. We created more of a luxury feel to the website, and then we started introducing reveal wall. Now, I was very skeptical. I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work, but you know what, Sue Bryce says it's amazing. Let's give it a shot. So the very first customer I had, we did the session. I said, well, look, you need to come back next week. And obviously we had to tailor the pricing guide, and they were aware of the prices, but I was still skeptical that they were going to spend that much money. I printed the picture, did all the editing, printed the pictures, put them on the wall. They came back. Mum burst into tears. She didn't even want to talk about whether she was going to go for the small, medium or large package. She said, I want them all. Literally handed over the credit card, and the job was done in about 10 minutes. My jaw was on the floor, and they walked away with their prints as happy as Larry, and I didn't have to say or do anything. And that, I can't tell you how the emotions that I felt then. I'm a very, very bad salesperson. And it meant that I didn't have to put myself into that discomfort zone, that area where I felt uncomfortable. I could just let them enjoy the pictures, make their decisions, and walk away. So let me quickly go over some of I'll go over this slide quickly. I created this when we redid the website, because I felt that it was very important to convey this message that the printed product is much more valuable than the digital product. I felt that I had to, in my messaging, I had to try and convey this, because what I was really worried about by going up such a huge jump with what I was asking is that I was going to get a lot of pushback from clients saying, well, that's just now out of my price range. So through our social media and through the website, I needed to have one graphic that showed them why I only now offer printed products. I don't offer digital products anymore. And obviously in this slide you can see that the writing's really small, but it says at the bottom, how would you like your images stored in 20 years' time? And this is digital technology. I'm old enough to remember floppy drives. I don't know if you are, right? Then the good old stiffy drive, CDs, then DVDs, and now USBs, and now even USBs are being phased out. So I still have clients back from 2012, 2013, 2014 contacting me and saying, Russ, please tell me you still have our images, because the new laptop that I have now it hasn't got a DVD drive, or I haven't had DVD drives in years, and we didn't print anything. We've got the DVD, but we have no way of retrieving those images. Thank goodness I do keep everything, so nowadays it's all digital upload, right? But there's nothing that can replace a printed product presented in a beautiful box. And it's a little bit like I always say to my clients, when I'm having my pre-consultation phone call, when they ask me, is there an option to just get digital only? One of the things I say is, when was the last time you visited your mum or your grandmother and you had a look at the pictures of when you were a child? Did you look at them on a phone or on a screen? Or did you sit down around the coffee table and bring out the albums that your grandmother or your mother lovingly put together? There's nothing like the printed product. And I've got pictures, or my parents have pictures of me when I was a kid back in 1974, a baby. And that print is still the same as it was the day it was printed. There's no digital product that you can do that with, as well as obviously the problems with corrupted files and all the rest. So moving on, these are the boxes that I now offer. It's the Sue Bryce collection. Sue Bryce works with Graphic Studio, and I mostly offer the portfolio box, which is this one. I like to, as you can see, I like to, as part of the service that I offer, I like to have I want my clients to have the option of customizing their box. So their product is unique to them. And the best way of doing that is obviously with them putting their baby's name, the birth date, or whatever they want on the front of the box. They can obviously also choose the leather that matches their home. So the other day I had a client that has a bright orange sofa. Fortunately, Graphy do a lovely bright orange leather that suits them down to the ground. And now they've got a beautiful piece of art with the images inside, or their prints inside, that matches their living room. And they couldn't be happier. So these are the boxes that I offer. There's also the reveal box, which has a clear front, and obviously all of the images stack in on the front of that. And the nice thing about that is now that becomes a display product, can be put on the mantelpiece or on the bookshelf, and then the image can be changed every few weeks. And you now got a display product as well as a product that stores those beautiful prints. And keeps those memories alive forever. So I'm going to quickly talk about the sort of the sales strategy with Reveal Wall. So I can't tell you how well this works, and it never ceases to amaze me that I can just leave my clients by themselves, actually leave the studio sometimes, come back 10 minutes later, and I know that I've got at least a £1,500 sale. So the way Reveal works, the sort of the strategy behind it, is that I have three main different collections. So the first collection is 5 prints, the next one up is 10 prints, and the next one up is 20 prints. So the basic collection, which is my 5 prints, is 1,000. My middle collection is 1,500, and then my deluxe collection is 2,000. Now, when most people have a choice, cheap, middle, or expensive, if that's the way you want to see it, they generally they gravitate to the middle. So I'm expecting my average order to be about 1,500 for 10 images. However, I've put in an ultimate collection, which basically is the deluxe collection, plus I've added some wall art into that and some 10 by 8 prints, gift prints I call them. And that's priced at 4,500. Now, I don't sell many. Obviously, I'd love to sell more of those. But what that's there, the reason why that's on the same page, or sort of part of my structure, is that it makes my deluxe collection not look as high. It's not the highest. It's now falling into that middle tier. So basically what happens is, like I say, my clients come back usually a week, 10 days after their session. I've got the beautiful prints up on the wall. They walk in, they're like, oh my God, those are beautiful. And I'll say, listen, I'm going downstairs to the cafe just to get some coffee. Would you like some? Or, if they say no, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go quickly. I'll leave you 10 minutes on your own. Because I find that with clients, particularly if there's an investment that needs to be discussed, I think they're more comfortable discussing that on their own rather than having a third person, especially somebody who's trying to sell them something. So obviously everybody knows the prices before they arrive. They've got the small, medium, large package. I'll show them the pricing guide, obviously, just so they're refreshed with it. I'll be like, there you go. Take the ones off that you want to buy, put them in a pile, keep the ones that you don't want on the wall, or turn them around, whatever. See you in 10 minutes. Just going to go get your coffee. Now, usually when I get back, they're still sitting there staring at all the images, scratching their heads. Because if they go for my middle package, my 1,500 package, that's 10 prints. But I'm showing them 25, even though my top package is 20, because I can fit 25 prints on my reveal wall. It's actually 24. I can fit 8 across, but if I do a few portraits, I can squeeze 25 images onto my wall. So now they have this problem. They've got two problems. There's 25 images on the wall. They have got to choose 10. But if I've done my job right in the session and got lots of variety in poses, backdrops, props, no props, sibling shots with the baby, family shots, if I've done my job right in the studio, it's almost impossible for them to lose 15 images and only keep 10. So it becomes quite difficult for them. They've made their mind up. I always think they have that discussion on the car. I would, in the car on the way to the studio, where the person who controls the purse strings has said, well, look, I think 10 is enough. I think 10 is fine. But when they get there and they see 25 beautiful images, that now becomes a bit of a problem. So I'll ask them, I'll say, look, what are you thinking? And normally they would say, well, we were sort of thinking 10. But now that I see them all, I think we might struggle. So my first sort of way of helping them with that problem would be to suggest that if they go for the deluxe collection, which is 20 images for 2,000, that's an extra £500 investment. I'll give them all the images. So they don't have to choose 20, they don't have to choose at all. They're getting all 25. So what I've done is I've offered them much better value in the sense that they're not paying £150 per print, 10 images for 1,500. They're now spending 2,000, but they're getting 25 prints. So I've almost halved the price per print, but I've upped them up to my top package, which is two grand. So I'm much happier. They're happy because they're getting better value, but now they don't have to choose anymore. Now they don't have to leave one away. And it's always the family shots where mum loves dad in the one and dad loves mum in the other, and they can't decide which ones they're going to choose. So when I offer them that, immediately I'm solving two problems for them, giving them much better value for money. They no longer have to fight over which images are going to be left behind. So quite often then I'll get the handshake, which is great. But sometimes I'll say, look, it's not so much as not being able to choose. 10 images is just too few. We like more than 10. We don't feel that we need to get 20. Is there a middle option? And I would say, first of all, I would offer them to go up to 20 and get all of them. If that doesn't work, I'll offer them 15. So there's sort of a little in-between package here, where from 10 to 20, there's 15. And that means they pay 1,750. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with this. I've done my sums. I've worked out my margins. I'm really happy with this. I'm ecstatic with this. But 1,750 is my average order, and that actually is that middle package. But I don't advertise it because I want that first to offer them to get them up to my 2,000 by offering them all the pictures. So the key to it is if you're going to have your top package at 20, always have those extra 5 prints to use as bargaining chips to get them up to the top. Rather than offering discounts, offer them more value and get them up. So that's reveal wall. Of course, there's also the option of selling or upselling wall art, which is something that I'm working on as well. I do obviously offer it with my ultimate package, which works out cheaper for them. So if I have a client that is thinking wall art, then obviously I would suggest the ultimate collection first. But sometimes they might not want to go for the wall art collection, which is, either 5 or 4 prints as a collection. They might just want to have a beautiful 24 by 30 print on the wall. So I have that option as well to up my sales. And that's reveal wall. So basically, where I've come over the years since 2017 is working like crazy honestly 60, 70-hour weeks trying to keep up with the amount of shoots, the amount of editing, all of the social media, all of the admin, all the rest, to now halving that and actually making 3 times more money, and obviously selling beautiful product, which my clients are really happy with. The one thing I would mention as well is these are my prices, but my clients still pay a session fee. They still pay a fee for me to photograph them. That session fee is $300. It covers my production costs, regardless of which box they buy. Plus a little bit goes to the hair and makeup. We offer hair and makeup as part of our session fee as a service, again, to increase the value for the clients and the experience. So a lot of, when I talk about Reveal Wall, a lot of people say, well, what about the prints that they don't buy? I don't mind, because the clients essentially paid for them already. And remember, when you sell matted prints, you can always use those mats again. You can use the mounts again. It's just the printing cost. And I'm not the sort of photographer that when they ask, well, what are you going to do with the ones that we don't buy? I'm not going to say, well, I shred them the minute you go. I don't think it's a bit mean. I keep them all. I keep them in a box. Obviously mention to all my clients that if they change their mind and they want to come buy some more, they're there. Nobody ever does. But yeah, so that's Reveal Wall. And as I say, I can't advocate it enough. It's completely changed my business. And I find that my clients are much more fulfilled with it as well, in that they walk away with something really, really beautiful. Another big, when I teach this to a lot of photographers, they say, well, I don't think that I can sell a box of 20 prints for £2,000. I don't think that's possible. And the only thing that's stopping them believing that is a barrier that they have in themselves. When Jeremy came to me 6 years ago and said, double your prices, I was in a frame of mind that believed that nobody would pay more than £1,000 for photography. Now, if that person 6 years ago was to hear me say in this talk that I average a £1,750 average, quite often selling 2 of these in one session, they're getting right up to £3,500, £4,000 per order, I would have said, no ways. Can't happen, it won't happen. But it will. And I think one thing we have to remember is that if we take beautiful shots of a family, we capture these moments, babies, they grow up one day, what we're doing is we're creating a product that it values with time. It doesn't devalue, right? My laptop computer, I bought it last week, £2,300. I cried, right? 5 years time, I'll have to buy another one. It devalues. The minute you open the box, it's devalued. This values with time. Now, I promise you, any one of my clients, if I took a box of 20 prints of their baby, they've customized the box and put their baby's name on it. They do get the digitals as well, by the way. With every print that they buy, they'll get the digital copy in black and white. Give them their box and their digital images and say, there you go. So hang on, let me take that back and let me give you this fancy computer. Okay, it's worth the same. You choose which one you're going to take. I promise you, they will take the box of beautiful pictures of their baby every day of the week. And Apple sell hundreds of these every day because they have value. People see the value of it. And when a mum sees these pictures and she has that box in her hands, you'll never replace it with a laptop computer, which means that it's more valuable. It's probably 3, 4, 5. You can't put the value on it. So that's Reveal Wall. Graphy Studio obviously produced the Super Ice collection, which I use. We have another amazing Kelly Brown collection as well, which are folio boxes that are similar, and they work for me, obviously.
Russ, you have a workshop coming up.
Yeah, so for anybody who's interested in newborn photography, I do in-person workshops. So I have a workshop coming up in November. I have one in London, and I have one in Scotland. So 24th in Scotland, that's going to be in Dundee, and the 18th of November, I think it is, in London. So that's in person. It's limited to 5 people only, so it's a nice small group. And then I also do, if you go to russjacksonacademy.com, I also do a lot of sort of online tutorials as well. And I have an amazing new course. We actually fill up at the moment. But for those of you who are starting out in newborn photography, in January, we're going to be doing the 3rd intake of my 12-week foundation course. So the 12-week foundation course is an online foundation course in newborn photography. We cover all the elements of photographing newborns, but we also then speak about business. So we talk about costings, getting your pricing right. We talk about marketing. We're talking about branding. And basically, the 12-week course is a blueprint on how to get yourself from buying your camera, knowing what lenses to buy, all the way through to setting up a business. So that's going to be online again. We're going to be taking registrations on that soon for the January intake. Yeah. Super. Any questions?
Do you offer like this as a standalone, but as well as Walmart?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, the way I've structured things is this is my flagship product. I don't really offer any other printed product, as in albums. I offer it. Got the fine art album. So this is a matted album with a beautiful sequoia leather cover. It's a proper heavy album. It's beautiful. I love them. But what I find is once most people have selected their folio box, they've got their printed product, so very few will go for the album. But if they want to replace it, so in other words, if they don't want the folio box and buy the album, then I'm quite happy to negotiate a price. Obviously, the album is a little bit more expensive in cost than the folio box, but I'm happy to replace that for them. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry? They'll pay the difference. Yeah, absolutely.
You still charge them £300?
Yeah, what I'll first try to do is say, well, why don't you give the folio box as a beautiful gift to your parents and keep the album for yourself? It's always a good option. And then as far as wall art, yes, I'm starting to. So I've been a bit naughty, slap on the wrist. I've been so blown away with my profit margins and selling these that I've sort of taken my finger off the pulse a bit with pushing my wall art. And like anything, if you don't show it, you won't sell it. So I'm in the process of now trying to sell much more wall art. And but yeah, with the amazing wall collections that Graphy do, incredible. And Jeremy and I are going to be working on a way of, how would you call it? Integrating reveal, getting those your collections in the bag, and then moving on to upselling the wall art as well.
I can see you've got pictures in the home of the collections.
Yeah, so it's really important when you are selling wall art, then people can visualize it. So obviously having beautiful samples in your studio, but then also on your pricing guide. And what you can do as well with certain software is you can ask your client to actually just with their phone take a picture of their living room or wherever they feel that they want wall art, and then you can actually superimpose images onto that so they can visualize what it would look like. And if you're clever, you can actually superimpose their own images so they can really visualize it. So that's where Jeremy and I are going to work on a sort of a model where you can get the best of both worlds and upsell those, get higher sales by selling beautiful wall art. This is a product that I'm including as well. This is the standing art, which is 5 images in one. Can either be floor standing, but I'm ordering one for my studio. I've got a very, very narrow wall between 2 beautiful windows. Can't do anything with it, but having something nice and narrow, I can fill that space. And a lot of people, particularly in the UK with smaller homes, they don't always have that huge wall space. They might have a space between a door frame and a window, which isn't big enough to put a 20 by 24, but something like this is just perfect to fill that space. You can get 5 images in one. Yep. Awesome. Any other questions?
Russ, thank you so much.
How do I get involved with this?
With newborn photography or?
With the newborn and graphic studio.
Well, come to me if you want to learn how to photograph newborns.
Yes, I need your details.
Yeah, I'll give you my card.
We'll set up
Yeah.
an account for you. We can talk. We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Speak to Chris. He'll be able to help you with it. Thank you. No, you're welcome.
And he will give me your details.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come and see you now. Cheers. Thank you.
So, Russ, thank you so much for that. Well, look, you're back again. We've got
Yeah.
you a few more times over the weekend. Make sure you come and see us here at the photography show. We're giving away a huge piece of wall art for anybody who comes and gets the badge. Badge is scanned here. But again, thank you, Russ. A brilliant talk. Thanks again.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.